So here we can see that SmartBuilder has generated a step-by-step simulation, and it's inserted it here in the flow. It's inside of a subflow container, which is this sort of dashed line. If you need to collapse this to make it easier to see the rest of your flow, you can click right here. You can also move it where it goes in your lesson if you need to move it to a different location. Each action or step is on its own page within the subflow. And let's just have a quick look at how this looks at runtime, and then we'll go and start doing some adjustments to each of the steps. So we'll click on the preview button, and we can see it starts off with like that sort of a start instructions. On each step, we're going to want to do some adjustments to the instructions. You can see there's just some placeholder text here. And if you wanted to, you could move the location of these instructions. And of course, you could change the color and style of all the stuff. For now, I'm just going to leave the default styling of the colors. So we'll click Start. We can see that a back button appears. We can see this needs to be adjusted to say whatever it is we want to say. In this case, the first step is to click on the New button, which is over here. So I'll want to adjust that text. And then the instructions keep updating depending on which step I'm on. Okay, let's go ahead and close the preview. And we'll start here by adjusting this instructional text. I'll just double click and say this will teach you how to use Windows Explorer. And just click away. Now, if I wanted to center this on the page, I could do that. I could just select each of the elements and then go up here and center horizontally and center vertically. Okay, that's good for that page. Let's go on to the first click step. Okay, so let's first adjust the instructions. We'll say click on the New button, and then here we want to adjust the location and size of this. I'm just adjusting this with my arrow keys and my mouse. The hint arrow is pretty much good spots. I don't need to adjust that. So you can see here, this already has the highlight gray, which indicates where to click. If we want to make this more realistic and make it so that the learner actually has to explore the interface a bit more, what we can do is we can adjust the frame here. So I'm going to right click on making sure I've selected the video. I'm going to right click and go to Edit Screen Recording Step. And you can see the mouse is already hovering over it, which is causing the gray. So I can use this previous frame button. I keep going backwards. And here I can see that now the mouse, which will not be shown in the simulation, is off of the New button, and it's not being highlighted. So that's how I want this to appear. So now that I've adjusted it, I can click Save. And the highlight goes away. So I'll just move this back, and we're done with this step. Let's go on to the next step. And we're going to change the instructions again. Click on the New folder item, and now we'll adjust the hotspot and the hint arrow. Okay, that was good for that step. Let's move on to the next one. Now this next step is a type step, so it's a little bit more involved. So here the instructions have this sort of variable, which is going to automatically pull in whatever the learner typed. It's going to pull in whatever text you see here. SmartBuilder already captured it as project media, which is correct. If there was a mistake in this, you could correct it by just selecting and typing whatever it is that you want to have the learner type, and then that gets pulled in right here. So I need to leave this exactly as it is, but the rest of the text I can change. So I'm just going to simplify this and say type whatever, then press the Enter key. That's good. And then we will go back and adjust the location of the hint arrow and the input text about there. Okay. You can hold down your control key and use your arrow keys to move one pixel at a time if you need to do that. Okay. All right, so let's go ahead and stop here and preview. We'll go back to the start page and just make sure everything is looking good. This tutorial will show you how to use Windows Explorer. Click on the New button. And now it says to click on the New folder item. Oh, I got my instructions wrong. I should say just folder. So we can fix that in a minute. Let's say we get this wrong. Let's say we click on this item here. We can see that our incorrect count is working and that our correct count is also working. I'll click on the correct item. And then here, I could adjust the location of this a little bit. It's a little bit off. But I'll go ahead and type in project media. And then I'll press enter and I move on to the next step. So everything's looking good, except I just want to adjust those one instructions here. We'll just change this to save folder. Okay, and let's move on to the next step, which is right here. So here we'll say select the stars logo PNG. Now the hotspots, because they're invisible, you don't have to make them 100% precise. That's good enough. I'll move on to, now this one's interesting. The next step is a click and drag. So the instructional stuff is pretty similar. Just change it to say whatever you want. Okay. And now we're going to want to, so one of these is a drag object and one is a drop zone. If you're not sure, you can see the drag object is here. So we can select it here in the cast if we want, and then we want to size it to match what we're dragging. So we'll do that here on the stage. And then our drop zone, we're going to also place and size on wherever the drop zone is. Okay, that looks good. Now the drag and drop object, this is just sort of a controller. It's invisible to the learner. So don't confuse the drag and drop controller object with the actual drag object and the drop zone. You can pretty much ignore this object right here. Okay, let's go back one step and preview this. All right, select the stars logo. I'll do that. Oh, here we'll want to, I guess we'll want to unselect this. We'll want to adjust the frame. Then we'll drag it up and drop it, and that looks good. So let's just go back here and we'll select the video. We'll right click and choose edit screen recording step, and we will go back a few frames. There we go. So now it's unselected and we have to actually know where to click to complete the step. Let's just check that by previewing it again. Yeah, that looks good. Okay. Now, so we did the click and drag. The next step is this double click step. So let's select that. Okay, as usual, we'll start with the instructions, and then we'll adjust the size of our hotspot. And we'll place our hint arrow where it needs to go. And then we'll go on to the next step. All right, here, just for the sake of speed, we'll leave this as is, and we'll leave that. That's good enough. And let's take a look at the end. Let's assume that's all we need to say at the end. So that looks good. Let's just double check from our double click step if it all looks good. We'll preview, double click on the sample Word doc 2 file. So I'll do that. It opens up the file, and then I can close by clicking on the red X, and we've completed the task.